All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I am Sandy Shellis, and it has been wet. I don't know where you are, guys, but it has been wet here and wet all over the world. Hi, Jean. Hi, Kim, the moderators, Veg, Tony, Tommyist, Iolo, and Keith Hayes. You're here. Anthony Davis, TR, Make America Green Again. It's great. Spice. All right. It's good to see you all. I have a very busy show. We're going to talk about everything in the hydrologic cycle, water, rain, flooding, all the shit that's been going on. It has been quite something. Hi, BB. It's great to see you. It's been really incredible. And I'm going to make probably my only political comment of the evening. And if anybody has been watching the DNC, they don't make any comments about climate except for, you know, green energy. They're not going to talk about the floods. They're not going to talk about the rain. They're not going to talk about all the traumatic shit been going on, but that's it, because none of them are, they want that carbon capture. Hello, Bella, or Bella. You have to tell me how you pronounce it. Bella, Bella. It's great. Hi, Sarah Connor. Oh, she is here with me in the chat. That's great, Channel Warris. All right, let's get started. I got a little something to show you. Hang on. Dripping. Just dripping right in. Oh. Okay, it could be worse, but I am so sick of the rain. I'm so sick of it. It has just been, ever since all this torrential rain shit started, and it started a while ago, but I never really noticed how bad it was until maybe, I don't know, 6 years ago. And Bella, you were here. It was 6 years ago this week. We had a huge party. The weather was beautiful. And it certainly wasn't 51 degrees like it is now. It's 51 degrees here. So, the rain affects us all in different ways. It affects where I live. It affects, Keith, wait, I'll put that up. I got a new roof. It's the skylight. And I got a new roof in November. Put a metal roof on the house. They put new skylights in, and that one is leaking. It just happens to be over my bathtub. So that's all right. Oh, I'm looking for you saw the video of the jam. Yeah, I have to download it and play it and make it into something for the channel. But anyway, I really got to get started. So rain affects all of us in different ways. I mean, it started here at this place with 1 year, when my basement was flooding, which you all knew about, and I had to do that. And, it's just never stopping. The gutters are they leak over. But that's little shit. This is not like what we saw in Connecticut. 2 women lost their lives, what we're seeing in India, what we're seeing all over the world. So we've really got to get started. And I have to say, when I wrote to Sarah Connor and I said, listen, I'm going to use this because you set it up. She set it up. It's all set up. I said, the other day, I felt actually, for the first time, and I don't feel this very often, I felt scared. And when it rains like this and you see what's going on in the precip, I actually literally felt scared. It was the first time I've had that feeling. I'm pretty tough with all this. I mean, I've been through a lot in my life and I'm pretty tough. But I got this overwhelming feeling, and it was just like If you've been with us for a long time, you know that Jennifer and I used to use the Thelma and Louise car going over the hill. But I felt this bottomless feeling in my stomach, this pit feeling. I know that I bring on Carolyn, I bring on Karen Perry so we can, deal with these things together. I have this show, but it was really just that way. And Spice, you're saying the same thing. It was and I sat through, I think it was Friday night, maybe it was the 2.5 hour thunderstorm, and it was torrential rain. It was crazy. It was like nuts here. I have tons of videos. I take videos of all the storms and record the thunder. But that being said, I decided, well, if I'm going to feel scared about things, I can't control them. Right? Can we control them? No. So we live the best life. We have collapse acceptance. Those of you who aren't accepted 100%, you have collapse awareness if you're here in this chat, right? So then I decided, okay, I'm going to talk about the rain. And what happens? Sarah, she's got it. She did it. So let's get ready. And I'm going to set this up. I'm going to set Sarah's stuff up because she did it for me. Really. She did it for me. And I wrote to her and I said, all right, let me use this. And I told her, I could probably read to you how I felt. I was like feeling a frightened feeling. And it wasn't alone. It was just scared. Like this shit's just not stopping. And it's just going to get worse. And we have to live with this. We have to continue to live with this. So let me get started with Sarah, Collapse 2050. And I'm so happy that you're in the chat. So she put this together on the 19th, which is yesterday, and these were from the past 24 hours. One day of unimaginable destruction around the planet. Unimaginable until it happens to you. Now, basements like me or skylights or gutters that don't work, that's not major. That's not my house being underwater. That's not floating away. They're annoyances, but they're not major like what we've been seeing, and what was it last week from Debbie? I did the show on tornado. The places that flooded were not that far from me. But people aren't ready. They're just not. So, to the doubters, I get it. Floods happen, but highly damaging floods are happening more frequently. We've barely kissed 1.5 degrees, and the destruction is noticeably accelerating. For the time being, we can recover. However, costly attempts to rebuild infrastructure will eventually prove pointless. And it's torn down repeatedly, and she's right with that. And where does all of the refuse go? Where is it all going? That's one of my inquiries, because I'd like to do a show on where's all the shit going. I could literally call it, where is all the shit going? Even if you don't live in a flood-prone area, it affects you. Flooded crops decimate food production. Money spent on repairing infrastructure means less money for health care. Desperate populations who have lost everything will seek new places to live. This affects us all. So she put them all together. Hopefully I've got them set up well, and we're going to watch them. This is Mexico. And I've got to shut off everything so I can do this. All right, this is Mexico. Oh, God damn it. It's so sensitive. I don't know why it does this. I had everything set up perfectly. Okay, here we go. Sorry, guys. When I don't rip videos, it's a lot different. Mexico. Crazy. It goes away. All these screens and everything I have. I have so much crap on my desktop. Yeah. And I am not fluid. I never set up the Stream Deck. I'm not fluid at all. Okay, here we go. Italy. Come on, Italy. Let's go. Now we've got the loading process because I didn't take any of this. She did it for me. Why is it doing this? I don't know, but I'm glad you're here talking about it. This was really something. Let me see if I can. No, it doesn't want to play. Wonder what's going on. Play. Let me see if it's this one. I'm sorry for a Nachi show. You know, I try. I try. Okay, we won't look at Italy right now. Or this is a second one of Italy. And we will play this. Hang on. Ugh. Wow. Wow, going down the stairs. So, Italy, let's see if we can play this one. It's just going to, I don't think it's going to work. That's a shame. Look at the picture of the twister. That's what the whole video was. It was people in Italy that they were taking a video of this, but obviously it just doesn't want to play. All right, now we're going to go to Russia. God, I think I really like ripping videos better. Isn't that awful? It just makes life easier to do it that way. Ooh, look at this. It's creepy. And I think before I even saw Sarah's put together this, I was getting that fear. It's all scary. It's all scary. Now, China, I've got a couple of videos. China is getting nailed. They're just getting it everywhere. And this one had actually actually I had set this up. I was going to play this sound effect for all of them. I forgot to put it on. See, I'm sidetracked by all the shit going on here. Plus, I canned tomatoes today. So there's China. We're always showing them. And nobody talks about it. No one talks about it. Nobody does. All right, New York, Long Island, they flooded badly. Here we go. Wow. All those Long Islanders were caught off guard. Look at the bridge. Hey, Bella. You're home. Woo! Oh, that's good. Yeah, we had that kind of storm. Connecticut. So it went from Vermont to Connecticut. Hi, Looney Tunes. I think everybody in the world saw this one. I can't imagine getting stuck like that. I don't even want to go out when I know it's going to rain anymore. This is the one. They were at a bar. This is the one everybody saw.
At my parents' house.
Imagine getting stuck at the
I
bar.
don't know how bad it is. There's more defense. But a lot of the rain is mostly up here because other people told me that it's not bad where they were. It's just up here. It just stopped over us. See, the rain's pretty much done, but it's just a raging. The house is about to go. Yeah. The red house. The red one over there. Is there anything in there? No, probably toys. Probably all toys for the thing. It's got the insurance claim. Oh, a big one. Gas can coming. Another gas can coming.
This is a long one, so I'm not sure if I'm going to play the whole thing.
This is crazy. How high? Just imagine how high. Somehow we're in here, but you can just see how high it is.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Hey, they got the music on.
Just the amount of power that is going through this.
All right, let's move it up a little.
Insane.
We're at the bar. Look at it, it's like
They never shut the music off.
Look at the daycare across the street.
Exactly, Sarah.
In the windows. And there goes the playground that's floating away.
Oh boy.
Oh, more the fence just went down. That fence went down now. Picnic tables. There go the picnic tables too. Shit.
This will be a video that'll go viral if it already hasn't.
I know. Oh, the lights too. my God.
Unplug this. Oh my God. Do you have a piece of tape?
Yeah, she's gonna put tape on the window. Keep the water from coming in.
Oh, it's like a raging river over there.
Ooh, look at
It's
that.
like whitewater rafting out here.
If that gets caught, that's gonna start a fire.
Oh, there goes the heater. Yeah.
Oh, and that's gas.
Propane.
Yeah.
This was worth the price of admission.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully we don't get it. Yeah.
They're gonna lose everything. This is the
A lot of places. Who the hell's... hopefully not. But it... Oh, we'll open up the door. Oh. Oh. You gotta go to the bathroom.
Where's she? Oh my God. Oh, I referenced.
Still unbelievable. Man. Still not
So
done.
it just kept going up and up and up.
Oh. Oh, there's more. Yeah.
I wonder where the follow-up video is from this person.
I
Wow.
don't know how they're getting caught there holding up. Hopefully this freaking thing holds up too.
Yeah, but it don't matter. The water's rushing and the car is like it is. It might sink. I hope my car is okay.
I hope my car is okay. I don't think so, babe. I don't think so. All right, we're going to move to Canada. I hope. I hope. Oh, tell me this one's not going to play either. Oh, I'm not doing this again. Let's give it a second. Ah! Oh no. Well, it was Canada. Jeez, it's only a 28-second stupid video. I don't understand why it's happening. And there's Sarah, and I will have her link in the show notes. Buy a coffee for Sarah. Subscribe to Collapse 2050. Follow her on X, like the rest of our little X community of climate doomers and climate change. I can't get it to play. Oh, well. Unfortunate. So we're going to take a little trip around. Powerful rains, flooding return to Fountain Green for second straight day. Let's see if this one will
More problems
play.
tonight in Fountain Green, where most of the town was already trying to clean up after weekend flooding.
Yeah, News Specialist Andrew Adams caught in the downpour and is live tonight with an update on the situation there. Hey, Andrew.
This is Utah.
City officials say the rain over the weekend came down in monumental fashion.
Yeah,
basically
Sarah.
3
Of
inches
course.
in 1
This is a
hour's
very
time,
visual
and that
show
did
right
leave
now.
most of the city with flooding issues. And then tonight, during the cleanup, the rains returned.
So look
This
at the
doesn't happen
mountains.
in Fountain Green ever.
It doesn't happen in Fountain
A
Green.
lot of families are devastated and displaced.
Neighbors were busy helping neighbors,
You'd be floating away or burning up.
filling sandbags to help shore up houses.
There's people who are actually flooded themselves, but have come out to help people who are in worse circumstances.
City leaders
Hey,
too
Sam.
were scrambling,
We're delivering them to and from people's houses.
all while working to estimate the damage.
Right now, I estimate about 2/3 of our citizens affected in one way or another with this flood. As you can see by the weather, everyone's worried it's going to happen again.
True to everyone's fears. The heavy rains return, flustering aid workers.
Even more rain's coming in right now and making that challenge even worse.
Soon, streets on the west side looked like this, as residents rushed to protect their houses.
So we were throwing plywood, covers down, things that we could put in tarps in
Definitely
place
they're not
just
used to
keep that
this.
second round from going back into where the empty window is.
In the end, more rain meant a whole lot more mess,
I'm soaked,
as a flooded town failed to catch a break from the weather.
and so it'll be a while till we can actually start to let it dry out and landscape.
Officials tell us tonight possibly upwards of 10 families have been displaced by the flooding.
All
They
right.
say the real problem.
So now you saw Utah. And we're going to go to Hartwell, Georgia. Hartwell also everywhere. But everywhere. That's how it looks at my house all the time. Oh, look at that. The roads were cracking. So they're not used to it either in Hartwell, Georgia. Heavy rain and hail falls in downtown. And Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, they also had quite a bit. How much? Up to 5 inches in some areas. And they flooding that was Sunday night, August 18th, in the area of Easton Avenue and Willow Park Road, Bethlehem Township. Torrential rains across Lehigh Valley. So I don't think you could hear this, and I'm not going to play it. I don't know. I've never experimented with if you could hear this, if system audio picks this up. I want to experiment, but it's not doing it. I don't think it's going to do it. Let's see. Let's see. Tell me if you can hear this. I don't think you're going to. I don't even see the system audio even working. Can you tell I prepared, but I'm notchy tonight. Totally notchy. Well, we're leaving the Lehigh Valley. Just know it's all over. And here's Mississauga.
Pumping out water 2 days after all that rain. This Mississauga
Canada
apartment building is dry up top, but its underground parking garage is drenched. Some cars below damaged by Saturday's storm. What do you think of all this flooding?
What can you think about? That's for the God.
This video shows the magnitude of the downpour. A police car parks on the median as the water washes
All right,
along
so
the
we
road
couldn't see
and into nearby
Toronto,
small
but we're
businesses.
seeing
A river
Mississauga.
of rain. People here just went through another big flood.
Yeah.
A lot of damage. This is the second time it is happening in a month.
Fires on one
Next door,
side
owners
of the
of
country
Perfect
and
Furniture had
floods on the
deja vu.
other.
It's getting worse and worse. I don't know why.
Their store was flooded in July as well.
We have a carpet put on the underneath. So, when the water starts coming in, the carpet gets wet and the very high risk of the furniture getting the mold.
The city says
Like
it
my
received as
ceiling
much
in
as
the bathroom.
276
Got
millimeters of
mold.
rainfall between Sunday's storm and one in July, claiming the damage would have been much worse but for the stormwater infrastructure system, which it says prevented the city from being washed away. In a statement, a Mississauga spokesperson told us, the city is committed to maintaining the stormwater system in good working order and to undertake necessary improvements and repairs as required. While we cannot influence the weather, we can take steps to ensure our infrastructure is planned, constructed, and maintained to manage flooding events.
All right, so
We changed the
that
carpet. We
is
spent $10,000 for changing
Mississauga.
the carpet, but still.
And now it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess for a lot of people. Now we're going to go to India. India. In Tripura, the landslides kill 7. 2 missing amid heavy rainfall. What's the theme of this night? Heavy rainfall, heavy rainfall, heavy. And these people, at least 7 people, including 3 members of a family, were killed while 2 villagers went missing after landslides triggered by incessant rains occurred at 3 to 4 places in Tripura, a senior official said Tuesday, while 5 deaths were reported from South Tripura district. 1 casualty each happened in Gomati and Kawe districts. The revenue department person said, Mr. Pandley. So it's happening everywhere. 48 hours, the state recorded unprecedented rainfall, triggering landslides in many areas and rendered thousands of people homeless. Now, that's not happening yet in the United States, except for small pockets of these tornadoes and these floods. But this is thousands of people homeless. Currently, 5,607 families were severely affected by the rain. They took shelter in 183 relief camps. Relief is being given to affected people. See, and people are going to be migrating. These are the climate change migrants. Ernesto, we're going to go to Newfoundland. Ernesto.
Well, if the forecasts are right, it should be kind of a glancing blow, Beth and Jody, as Hurricane Ernesto is going to track to the southeast of Cape Race and southeast of the Avalon Peninsula. Latest numbers on the storm, which is located right here, show a max sustained wind of 148 kilometers per hour, with winds gusting in excess of 185 kilometers per hour. The storm is moving northeast at 42 kilometers per hour as we speak. And the center is located right in this area.
So it's coming.
Can you get the banner taken down, please? And you can see the center. Thank you very much. And you can see the center right there. And
even they have technical difficulties.
On this trajectory right here. So there is some rain showing up on the radar to our south. That's the heavy rain that's been advertised. That will roll in overnight. But the strong winds gusting near 185, those are going to remain well offshore areas to the west.
All right, let's see what else is going on.
Tied into climate change, we may be able
to
all
right, here we go.
Should be for the time of year. So this hurricane, while not necessarily tied into climate change, we may be able to tie in this a little bit to climate change because it's been very warm. It's been a very warm summer, unusually warm again this summer, and the ocean is unusually warm. So some percent of this is likely kind of some percent of Ernesto's strength this far north may, I'm not going to say will or is, but maybe to do with climate change and our warming planet and thus the slightly warmer oceans. Now,
well, you see, what'll happen to him is if this is on Twitter, there will be 100 million morons denying that there's any problem and it's not climate change and the weather has always changed and of course it's normal and look at what happened in whatever year it is. So he has to be that way because he's on a broadcast show. You can't tell the truth. You get swamped with clueless morons trying to tell you no, it's not happening. So they got a lucky break Monday. It was expected to pass south of the island, but it was still forecast to bring intense rain. So there you go, intense rain, Ernesto. And we're going to move on to risk of flash floods in northern Vietnam. Wow. Northern Vietnam. Heavy rainfall ranging from 50 to 100 millimeters is expected to hit Vietnam's northern mountainous, and this is from today, regions from Tuesday to Thursday, raising the risk of flash floods and landslides, the National Weather Agency warned. Local residents have been cautioned about the potential for whirlwinds. That's wild. Whirlwinds, lightning, strong wind gusts during the downpours. The National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting also warned that torrential rain could lead to flooding in low-lying urban areas, while flash floods and landslides are likely in mountainous regions. So there you go. That's whirlwinds, which are powerful gusts. That's terrifying, actually. Whirlwinds. All right, and Pakistan, and they also get it, Pakistan, and it's monsoon season, but their deaths have passed 200 people. They look how they have to live. It's a lot worse. Islamabad, flash floods triggered by monsoon rains swept through the streets in southern Pakistan and blocked a key highway in the north, officials said. So, what happens is the scientists and weather forecasters have blamed climate change for heavier rains in recent years, as we're seeing the intensity and the ferocity of the rains. In 2022, climate-induced downpours inundated 1/3 of the country. Remember that, we reported on it, killing 1,739 people and causing $30 billion in damage. That's Pakistan. And here's China again. It's a similar video to what we saw And this is the South China Morning Post. Look at. Wow. It's just, yep. That's a lot of rain. Dalian. Wow. Look at that street. Oh my God. Sorry if I'm offending anybody. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So there you go. More of that. So let's talk about the science of it. Before I go through this website, I literally have another video. And like I said, this is interactive video night for learning. So we're going to look at this one. For those of you who really are not that understand this, let's look at this. Hang on.
All the water on Earth today, every drop, is all the water there has ever been on the planet. Fresh water is actually millions of years old, the same water flowing in a continuous loop, falling as rain and snow from clouds to the Earth's surface, running in rivers, pooling in ponds, flowing from faucets, irrigating crops, traveling through plants, generating power, eventually evaporating into the air and condensing into clouds again.
Why is there life on Earth? And the reason there's life on Earth is because Earth has this perfect water cycle.
The water cycle. So simple, even small children understand the basics. Yet so complex, the most advanced Earth scientists, hydrologists, geologists, and biogeochemists are studying every part and process.
The water cycle is fascinating. It's something that's around us all the time, and yet we don't really understand it.
How to summarize what is known about the water cycle? With 2 words, flows and stores. The water cycle is a series of flows of water between various water stores or storages. Clouds in the atmosphere.
There's always a little bit of water in the atmosphere. We talk about relative humidity. It's a humid day, it's a dry day. Either way, there's water, sometimes a little, sometimes a lot.
There's a lot of water in the ocean, 70% of all the water on Earth. In the ice sheets and glaciers, 2/3 of all the fresh water on Earth. In the snowpacks atop mountains like the Sierra Nevada. In the Great Lakes. In rivers and streams. In reservoirs and watersheds. In wetlands. In the soil, in and on plants and trees rooted in the soil, and beneath the soil, in water tables and underground aquifers like the Ogallala High Plains, which runs underneath parts of 8 states from South Dakota to Texas. All this storage is temporary. Water in all its forms is always in flux and always moving. And there is a name for every kind of movement in the water cycle, starting with precipitation.
Precipitation is the process of water falling onto the surface of the Earth. You can have precipitation in many forms: rain, snow, hail.
Rain is falling water in liquid form. Snow, ice, hail, and sleet are falling water in solid or frozen form. Fog and mist, falling water in gas or vapor form. Precipitation that falls directly onto the oceans becomes part of surface ocean and can be churned by wave and wind action into ocean currents. Rain and snow that falls directly on rivers and streams becomes one part of stream flow. Rain that falls onto land takes a different path to the river. as does the snow and ice that falls and collects on mountaintops when temperatures warm.
When snow melts, some of it runs through the snowpack and goes into small streams, tributaries that feed into large rivers.
What about that precipitation that falls on and over land? Some is intercepted by vegetation, plants, and trees.
Like you might imagine someone in the game of football intercepting a pass. These are raindrops trying to come to the ground, and the leaves on the tree intercept them before they hit the ground.
And the precipitation that does hit the ground, it can run off if the ground is hardscaped, covered with asphalt or concrete, or if the soil is too wet or saturated to absorb more water, like an over-soaked sponge. Otherwise, precipitation infiltrates the soil surface, percolates into the ground.
Think of it as the water percolating through your coffee grounds in the morning. Gravity continues to pull it downward so it will move through.
Through the topsoil, into spaces between soil and rock particles, down to bedrock and further into fractures, into deep underground aquifers. Even groundwater here is moving sideways or laterally, discharging toward a river, lake, or the sea. Generally, the deeper the flow, the slower the flow.
Some of that fractured water might take a very long time, thousands to millions of years to get out.
And how does water get back out into the atmosphere? It evaporates, is turned from a liquid into a gas or vapor by the heat of the sun.
If you put a bit of water into a bowl and you set it outside on a sunny day, it's going to disappear. It's still water, it's just in the form of a gas rather than the form of a liquid.
Water evaporates from every wet surface, even from wet air. Some rain and snow evaporates into the air while falling. Water evaporates through our respiration and perspiration, and from plants through transpiration. Trans means through or across. Plant roots draw up groundwater.
I hope you're taking notes. We're having an exam.
Water up through their stems into their leaves and then release it back out through evapotranspiration.
Evapotranspiration, a spelling bee-worthy term for evaporation from soil and water surfaces plus transpiration from plants. Evaporated water molecules are tiny enough to flow into the air, mix with smoke and dirt particles in the atmosphere, cool, condense into visible masses of water vapor, clouds. Winds move clouds into colder air, water droplets collide and merge, grow bigger and heavier until they are so heavy they fall again, as rain or snow, sleet or hail. Precipitation, collection, runoff, interception, infiltration, percolation, discharge, transpiration, evaporation, condensation. The water cycle.
I thought that was cool. All right. I thought that was actually cool to share with you guys so that what we're seeing, all of the precipitation we're seeing all over, in your mind now you're going back and learning about all of those processes again. You know, this was interesting when I got this clip. I was reading the comment section. It's actually an older video, and people use this in schools. They actually use this clip, and the comment section was saying, "Hey, I'm doing my homework and looking at this video." So it was well done, you know, to learn about that. But what now we're going to look at UCARS, the Center for Science Education. This is through the National Science Foundation, and talking about the water cycle and climate change. It's always on the move. Rain falling today may have been water in a distant ocean days before. And the water you see in a river or stream may have been snow on a high mountaintop. Water is the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, it's on the land, it's in the ocean, and on the and underground. It moves from place to place through the water cycle, which we just learned, which is changing as the climate changes. Now we're going to look at the examples of why it affects the evaporation and precip. It's causing parts of the water cycle to speed up as warming global temperatures increase the rate of evaporation worldwide. More evaporation is causing the precip, on average. We are already seeing impacts of higher evaporation and precip rates, and the impacts are expected to increase over the century as the climate warms. And I think, guys, that is where I got that sick feeling, that scared feeling that this just isn't going to stop. And no matter what you do, where you live, making your house, making your home, your apartment, your wherever you call home, immune to these events is not going to be easy. Higher evaporation and precip rates are not evenly distributed around the world. Some areas experience heavier than normal precip, and other areas may become prone to droughts as the traditional locations of rain belts and deserts shift in response to a changing climate. Some climate models predict that coastal regions will become wetter and the middle of continents will become drier. Also, some models forecast more evaporation and rainfall over oceans, but not necessarily over land. Water temperatures associated, which we've seen, the sea surface temperatures are insane, with climate change and increased carbon dioxide levels may speed plant growth in regions with ample moisture and nutrients. This could lead to increased transpiration and the release of water vapor into the air by plants as a result of photosynthesis. So, changing climate means changing weather. Climate warming is causing changes to weather in different regions in the world. In particular, it is causing more extreme weather events than we've seen in the past. Those extreme weather events can have impacts on human health, limiting access to clean drinking water, food, and shelter, and taxing people's ability to cope with the heat, drought, or flood. So, more raining and flooding, more extreme drought, stronger hurricanes, heat waves, and clouds. Clouds affect the climate, and climate affects the clouds. Currently, the combined effect of all clouds is one of net cooling, meaning that clouds are dampening the rate of climate warming. But scientists are looking into whether clouds will have the same effect on climate as the Earth continues to warm. So if the proportion of different cloud types changes, it could affect the rate of climate change because different types of clouds have different impacts on Earth's climate. While some types of clouds help to warm the Earth, others help to cool it. So there's a whole thing on clouds, which I haven't done that show, and I've been wanting to do the cloud show for a long time. So we know that sea level is rising. We've talked about that numerous times. And I'm sure we will talk about it Friday night with State of the Planet with Jim, Antonio, Jennifer, and myself, and Nick. Yeah, the whole crew back together Friday night. So we've seen sea level rise go up. And the two ways, the water from the melting glaciers. What did we talk about? Jennifer was just in Alaska. She had seen the Mendenhall Glacier, and now in Juneau, they just had a crash, 200 plus houses, 250 houses. So this is what's happening in front of our very eyes. Brought to you by social media. Ice sheet flows down the river. It's added to the ocean, and over the past 100 years, mountain glaciers, Arctic glaciers, and Greenland's ice have decreased dramatically in size. With less ice trapped on land and glaciers and ice sheets, there is more water in the ocean, and sea level's higher. Melting ice that is already in the ocean, like sea ice, has a minor impact. And then it expands as it warms, so it increases the volume. So the water in the ocean takes up more space and sea level is higher. Since 1955, more than 90% of the excess heat in the atmosphere by heat-trapping gases has made its way to the ocean. Thermal expansion and melting ice each contributed to about half of the recent sea level rise. Jim is always talking about the thermal expansion, though there is some uncertainty in the exact magnitude of the contribution from each source. Thermal expansion of seawater is predicted to account for 75% of future sea level rise, according to Earth Systems models. So we're getting it from above, and we're getting it from below, and we're getting it from the ocean. It's growing acidic, so we're losing the animals. the marine life. And we know that the sea ice is shrinking, which is causing more warming, which is a tipping point, which is just, it's circular. It just keeps happening and happening. And there's no doubt. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. We understand. But I did find two. I want to do this one first. I don't know if we'll have time to do the last one, but I'll put it in the show notes because we're looking at all these things that are happened. We're experiencing them in our different states, countries, whatever. We're watching people we know be affected. And this article came out today. And Jane Van Dess she put it up on X, and you've met her. She's been a guest on the show. And I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, this is a great way to end by what can you do? Can we? Fixing a basement, fixing a skylight. What do? You can't really help. If a tornado's coming, I don't care what structure you have. Hurricanes, possibly. We saw that one house in Mexico Beach. Remember the Mexico Beach hurricane? The one house that was standing has become an icon, and now people are emulating the way those people built it because they're rebuilding. People aren't leaving the beaches yet. I don't think they are. So like an approaching major hurricane whose outer spiral bands are only just beginning to hit, an approaching climate change storm has begun and will soon grow to ferocious severity. A topic I discussed, and this is who? Jeff Masters. Okay. Hi, Jeff. It's a topic he discussed in his previous post. When will climate change turn life in the United States upside down? And that's what we've been talking about. And we're seeing it in all these different places, but no one wants to put the dots together, especially all these goddamn politicians. And they know that they need FEMA. They know they need federal money besides state money. Because it's what's going to happen. I'm thinking about Long Island. I'm thinking about Connecticut. All the rebuilding, all the fixing, all the roads, all the damage, the insurance companies that are going to say, well, fuck you, we're not doing this anymore. The immense tempest is already exposing the precarious foundations upon which civilization is built, an inadequate infrastructure designed for the gentler climate of the 20th century. Remember that, if you're old enough. What should you do to prepare? Well, on a personal level, you should prepare for the intensifying climate change storm like you would for an approaching major hurricane. If you're going to stay in place, know your risk. Get more insurance, stock up on supplies, weatherproof your home, be ready for long power outages. If you can, get solar panels with battery backup. I'm trying to do these things on a very meager budget. Be ready for those. Okay, keep extra courses of essential medicines on hand and get your finances in order. And if you live in a really risky, sufficiently risky place, leave, like a place that's going to be burning from a fire, or absolutely like the beach where you're going to be wiped right off. If you saw my opening video, I edited it and I added a collapsing beach house. Consider standing your ground. Moving to a new place strips you from the web of social connections in your community. As journalist Madeline Ostrander has observed, such ties help people cope during emergencies. A sense of place, community, and rootedness aren't just poetic ideas, they are survival mechanisms, she's written. So before you pack your bags, first make sure you understand the expected consequences of climate change where you live now. Do these risks outweigh the cost of leaving behind friends, neighbors, family, and professional contacts? Get insurance. If you decide to remain where you are, it's well worth it to increase your insurance coverage. Oh, I want flood insurance. Who can afford it? I can't, probably not. Despite the fact that insurance costs are rising rapidly with sea level rise. Even if you don't live in a 1 in 100 year flood zone, Flood insurance is a good idea for all property owners and renters. The National Flood Insurance Program will insure residential properties for up to $250,000 and the content for an additional $250,000. So contact your private insurance agent to get a policy, and you too can spend $1,000 a month on flood insurance. Oh my God. I don't mean to laugh. It's unfortunate. Defend your home against floods and wildfires. An inch of water in your home can cause $25,000 in damage. Check out FEMA's suggestion on protecting your home from flooding. So some examples are elevate the furnace, water heater, and electric panel if susceptible to flooding. Install check valves in sewer traps to prevent flood water from backing up into your house. Point your downspouts away from your home to prevent pooling at the corners of your house. Regrade the area around your home so it slopes away from the house even slightly. Plant native grasses and long-rooted perennials in your yard to soak up floodwaters. Does that include weeds? Because if it is, I have plenty of those, and they're soaking it all up. Seal walls and basements with waterproofing compounds to avoid seepage. Keep an adequate supply of food, candles, and drinking water in case you are trapped inside your home. Now, all these are really good. They're all excellent. And I would say personally, I'm pretty good with the furnace, the heater, the electric panel, the shit that's upstairs. But I've already been through thousands and thousands of dollars of basement work from that in 2021. Selling my Harley, to pay for it. Had to do it. I wasn't riding it. So I sold it. Change of life, But not everybody can do all these things. The regrading, that's what they did in the front. I, so far, have been lucky that way. Now it's just the roof and the gutters. I don't know how your houses are or where you live, but these are things we could do to protect against wind damage. Consider the fortified construction model. A voluntary construction standard backed by decades of research, which your roofing contractor or builder can use to help protect your home against severe weather. Fortified structures can qualify for insurance discounts. How many of us can really do that? I know when they put the roof on that I'm going to have to pay for forever. I mean, I asked them to put hurricane clips on that roof. It's a metal roof. It'll just fly off anyway, and sheets of the people down the streets will probably go, oh, there's Sandy's roof, next tornado. Nice green she got. So the Department of Homeland Security also has guidelines on how to deal with wildfires, which I think is frightening as well. And there are those of you in our audience that have experienced or close to it. Designate a room that can be closed off from outside air. Close all doors and windows. Set up a portable air cleaner to keep indoor pollution levels low when smoky conditions exist. Create a fire-resistant zone that is free of leaves, debris, or flammable materials for at least 30 feet from your home, which I think is really important. Store an N95 mask to protect yourself from smoke inhalation. So if you live in an area, which now, I think there's nothing off the table. And we've seen what's happened in Canada. And I think that the next drought here in my state, for instance, the next drought from all the green and all of the stuff that's been growing from the rains, the next drought could be a fire hazard. So normally when people where I live, they may not think about that. I think people have to start thinking about the eventuality of anything happening. Anything. If necessary, relocate. No place is safe from weather extremes that our rapidly changing climate will bring. but some places are foolish to continue living in. If you live in a floodplain, barrier island, or high-risk wildfire area where insurance impossible to obtain, it's impossible to obtain or very expensive, evacuate. Leave permanently. The insurance market is finally beginning to price climate risk appropriately, and it's sending you a message. Get out of your high-risk living situation and move somewhere safer, particularly if the government offers you a taxpayer-funded buyout. I didn't know those existed. Like a high-stakes game of musical chairs, the music will stop for the coastal property market, perhaps even this year. And you don't want to be the one left without a chair. See, I just think it's just not so easy for everybody to do this. And I was following a guy, and he has a Substack. I think maybe it's Medium, and I haven't seen him lately on X. He might have gotten off it, but he was in the Paradise Fire, and his experience. He's written quite a bit about his experience. If I can find it, I'll put it in the show notes. And his experience with losing his home. I know he's moved to the Southeast, but losing his home, it was just horribly miserable. The insurance, they really did not make out that well. Can you imagine people that have nothing in the first place? You know, it's really, really hard to think about this for so many people. Okay, so one of my favorite parts of the must-read 2024 book by Abram Lustgarten, On the Move, he has a review, is where the author, who lives in a wildfire-prone portion of the California Bay Area, describes his angst about experiencing the new climate change reality there. Skies turned orange by smoke, the constant tension of being prepared to evacuate, rolling blackouts that ruin perishable food, and increased insurance rates. He recounts a phone conversation he had with Tulane University's urban planning and climate migration expert, Jesse Keenan, where Lustgarten asks him, should I be selling my house and getting... Okay, he cut me off, yes. But who's buying the house? So it's like, we are in the know, or those of us that might be fortunate enough to be able to do this, but who's buying the house? When is it going to collapse? Because it's going to collapse, and people aren't going to be able to sell their house. So this says, and now it shows the climate havens. Oh yeah. See, where my state, I don't think it's so much of a climate haven after it's nothing but torrential rains. And this is just a power outage, weather-related power outages, but all right, so the most cited U.S. climate havens and research papers, publications by national organizations, and by the media are older cities in the Great Lakes region, upper Midwest, and Northeast. They include Ann Arbor, Duluth, Buffalo, Burlington, and Madison. These locations have the advantage of cooler temperatures and abundant resources, water resources, I'll say, after this year. In addition, they are located far from the ocean coast, where hurricanes and sea level rise will be problematic, and well away from the worst wildfire smoke hazard areas of the West. Canada, Norway, Sweden, and Finland are also potential climate havens. Okay. Some of these places may not be great places to move if the government, city, infrastructure, or social or economic conditions are flawed. For example, I like to tout my home state of Michigan as a climate haven, but Michigan has a poor electrical grid and suffers the second highest number of power outages of any state, behind Texas, a much larger state. Thus, it's good to consider the quality of infrastructure of a state you're moving to, or go off grid if you are fortunate enough to be able to do that. Remember that no place is immune from the consequences of climate change. For example, many of the havens listed above experienced severe wildfire smoke in summer 2023, and new research on critical Atlantic Ocean current system known as the AMOC has found that it is more likely than not 59% chance to collapse in the next 25 years. Isn't that nice? Over a period of decades following such a collapse, a major disruption to the atmospheric circulation would cause a dangerous increase in the extreme weather found a few decades from now over Northern Europe, including the so-called climate havens of Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Can you say we are so fucked? If you can't move to a climate haven, or if you prefer not to, you can aim to find someplace closer to home that minimizes the climate risks endemic to your area. So, flood risk. It's critical to know the current and future flood risk of any place you might want to live. Check out my 2023 post, 30 Great Tools to Determine Your Flood Risk in the U.S. If you live in Miami, New York City, New Jersey, Charleston, Norfolk, Houston or New Orleans, Houston or the Florida Keys, check out my review of 8 great books on flood risks for these places. For California, read the 2023 book, California Against the Sea. And this is climate vulnerability. Now, I had her as a guest, Dr. Emily Shorning, and she has the channel, which I'm always plugging, American Resiliency, and she just did Vermont, is public now. She's amazing, and her work is great. And Jackie Heinel, the soil scientist friend of mine, who was also a guest here, is now working with her. So it's wonderful to be able to match great minds. And American Resiliency is a great channel for learning about your state more in depth. So, National Vulnerability Percentile. Doesn't it look pretty? It just does not look for this good for the South. Not very. So there's interactive maps and other resources. One way to explore the pros and cons of living in a particular U.S. city is through the U.S. Climate Vulnerability Index, created by the Environmental Defense Fund, Texas A&M, and Dark Horse Analytics. This features an interactive map to explore environmental, social, economic, and infrastructure effects on a city and county level. Grist did a nice write-up of the tool in 2023. Notice that there are some glaring problems with the tool, and that's where Emily comes in, because she's doing her own American Resiliency. For example, northern Vermont is rated as being one of the least vulnerable locations, but it has seen the highest level of disaster declarations of anywhere in the U.S. over 23 years, which I did not know it was 23 years for Vermont. Guy McPherson moved there. 23 years. FEMA has an interactive national risk index for natural hazards maps that shows which communities are most at risk from natural hazards. It includes data about the expected annual losses to individual natural hazards, social vulnerability, and community resilience, available at county and census tract levels. A separate national risk index tool allows you to assess county level text data on 18 natural hazards. A similar interactive map that allows you to type in an address and see how many major disaster declarations have occurred for that county from 2011 to 23 is available from rebuildbydesign.org. So there's a lot of good stuff in this article. These are states with the number of major disaster declarations by county and U.S. congressional district. And there were a lot. See where they are? The big red ones. Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Vermont, Washington State, California. It's really, really disconcerting. And it is scary. What's it doing outside? It's raining. Hang on a second. If it's raining, I have to do something. Hang on, I'll be right back. I have to shut the window. Because, hang on. Oh, shit. If I have the window open in here, it'll rain in on the battery I have sitting on the windowsill, so I can't have that get wet. And I think everything else is closed, I hope. I think I closed the windows in the house. It was freezing today. Anyway, thank you for that. I think it's raining. I thought I heard it. Well, anyway, if it's not raining, that was a lot of wind. And the coyotes, oh boy, earlier they were just howling away. All right. The tools that merge the physical and environmental risks from climate change with the societal risks that exacerbate weather and climate extremes. This approach provides the most complete picture of the dangers posed to a given community. If you want to consider the physical or environmental component on its own, take a look, and all these are in here. All right? Stiff competition for livable places. If you manage to find one, you have plenty of competition from millions of others searching for the same thing. They're buying up our land in this county anyway. For example, Atlanta, which appears on the Architectural Digest's recent list of top 10 most climate resilient cities, faces steep challenges if it is to absorb the 1 million plus climate refugees that could be headed there within the next 30 years. Water scarcity, deficient transportation and sewage infrastructure, social inequality, and lack of affordable housing head the list for issues of that city. Climate change futurist Alex Steffen is one of the best at communicating the magnitude of the upheavals coming from the planetary crisis. Yeah, I know who he is because I follow him. Okay, here we go. Maybe me reading this, I should put on the suspense music, huh? Let's see how it sounds. Okay. But those homes connected to systems less exposed to risk, where action to ruggedize is progressing, where institutions are functioning at a high level, where public goods and infrastructure are supported and well managed, and where large numbers of desperate people are not overwhelming support systems, those homes will appreciate value. Appreciate, I expect, a lot. A run on durability combined with a slow growth of housing supply will inevitably push those with less wealth out, leading to the bitter irony that young and or poor people may find themselves among the climate displaced even when they're living in some of the safest places on earth, and that is what I was talking about. The only real answer to this problem is a politics of urgent abundance. We must build at genuinely inclusive scales. If you live in a relatively safe place and you don't want it to be trapped in the amber of wealth, your town has to build enough housing and workplaces and infrastructure and schools and so on to meet a massive uptick in demand, and that is a problem in it of itself, isn't it? Growth. It will need to go on building for decades. I wrote a book about why building compact communities at scale is also a critical climate sustainability issue or solution. Not many prosperous towns are ready to do this. The ones that aren't could quickly turn into enclaves of wealth. A lot of people will be left outside those gates when they close. And still, if you're lucky or smart enough to get in, you or your family might find yourselves with some of the brightest futures around. Little hopium at the end. And money. Okay, the money. Those with wealth will be much better positioned to weather the coming climate change storm. So it would be, God, this is the part So it would be prudent now to begin financial planning for the coming planetary crisis. Reducing the amount of debt you carry would be a good place to start. Yeah, I needed a roof. And if you have money tied up in fossil fuel companies, consider their long-term business model must dim dramatically if our futures are to brighten. Okay, well, I think I found the environmental coffee house flush of the day. I'm going to flush away financial planning. That's a tough one for a lot of us. Okay. But it's not bad advice for young people that really, might be able to relocate. So there's a whole lot of stuff. And this will be in the show notes. Okay? And I'm not going to have time to read the last one, but the last one, Overshoot myth, risks catastrophic global warming. And it's the idea that we can overshoot global warming targets that then fix the problem with technology. It's a dangerous myth. Okay. And we all know that. So I'm not going to do that particular article. But I'm going to come back to you and talk to you for a few minutes. Did you learn? I hope you learned from this. Let's see what you're talking about. I can find your comments. All right. I hope you learned. Yeah. All right, let me see. No super chat, so I don't have to thank anybody, but I'm thanking you anyway. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about finances, and I know for a fact that a lot of people, in this gig economy of the internet where we all give to each other, that's what it is. It's just giving to each other. Right. There's no technology that will cool the oceans. Although, Patrick, Kim, you know his name that talks about the ocean being refrozen. I interviewed him back in the day. I don't know, I'm having brain fart anyway. Okay, well, I'm a wonderful teacher. I just like to put things together. I like to put things together to be able to make it to tell a story. And we have a story. And wait, this person. Now you've got me all hung up on saying, oh my God. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, yeah. Algae. Okay, well, I want to thank you guys. It's going to be a big show Friday night with all of us, State of the Planet. Which, I mean, it's like we're constantly doing the State of the Planet anyway. But having everybody back and we can hear about Nicholas and his experience. And I mean, he's going to be right in the thick of things with disaster management, right in the thick of things. We're all in the thick of things. And we all have to prepare. I mean, I'll tell you what I did today really quickly, and I'm going to make a video for the Anthropocene Gardener. I canned tomato soup today. I started the other day, and I have a new station outside on my deck that I have my canning station outside. I made soup, and I make a ton of food for the winter, so I don't have to leave here. I grow a bunch of stuff. It was a tough season, but I still got stuff outside. I didn't plant a lot of fall crops, although it's fall today, 51 degrees or 50 degrees. It's pouring. Oh my God. I hope I shut the windows. I'm going to have to say goodnight. It's boring. Oh, I got a super chat. You sweetheart. You didn't have to do that. God, I make people feel guilty. I don't want to do that. Thank you. You're so sweet. That was very nice. It helps. It helps. All right, everybody. We all have to think about each other. And I don't know why. When I thought about all of this relocating and moving, and then I think about all of these people that are on the comment sections of videos and Twitter that are such rabid deniers and don't want to be science, let them stay in those states. We'll take over all the climate habitable states and we'll kick them all out. They can go live in Texas. And if you're in Texas, I'm sorry. I don't want to make you feel bad. It's not your fault you're in Texas. I know Tony lives in Texas, so anyway. Good night. I love all of you, and I will see you guys on Friday. Thank you, Channel Warhorse. Thank you. All of you, amazing, wonderful people. Yep. There's the water. There's the water. You hear it? Just dripping right in. Oh. Dripping. Just dripping right in.